Hey guys, it's Matt. Actually, it's the Raven King.
Hey guys, it's Matt. I want to talk about this movie, Into the Wild. I saw it again recently. It is a heck of a movie. 2007. The actor, I'll show many more pictures as we go through this. Emil, is it Hirsch? Man, he's good in this. He also played Speed Racer. He's been in 20 other movies, but never in a mega starring role as big as what he did here. This movie resonates with a lot of us, our type of people. I'll describe the movie, give you a 2 or 3 minute overview as to what happens in the movie. I know probably half of you haven't seen it, but you really should. I mean, people here, our type of people, have this yearning to be free more than most other groups in society. Let's just put it like that. And whoever this Christopher Mccandless really was, the kid in 1992 or 1993 that set off, rejected society, rejected his formal education at Emory, graduated with honors, was supposed to go to Harvard Law, just said, I've had enough of it, rejects society, goes off to be a hobo, which is actually different than a bum. A hobo is not a bum. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Goes off just to be one with nature. And of course, videos pop up. Christopher Mccandless was not a hero, and it doesn't. The specifics of his circumstances, whoever this Christopher Mccandless was, translated into the movie Into the Wild, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Hello. Christopher was not a hero. That part is right. The people that see it that way. He was a fool. Fool. And movies, Matty loves movies. And there's no way to become one with nature. Nature is opposed to you. Nature is not your friend. Mother Nature is not a nurturing mother.
We're going to talk about this as it relates to us. As it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're going to talk about this translated into the movie Into the Wild. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're going to talk about this. The specifics of his circumstances, whoever this Christopher Mccandless was, translated into the movie Into the Wild, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're going to talk about this as it relates to us, as it relates to our type of people. If the specifics about Christopher Mccandless are a little bit falsified for the movie, who cares? Who cares? I'm going to go through the movie as if it is accurate per what this Christopher Mccandless did. This is the actor here, Emil Hirsch, that played the hobo Christopher Mccandless, and he got a lot of awards and honors for this role, and he was absolutely excellent in this movie. I thought they thought he'd be a big star, and they put him as Speed Racer. I guess that flopped, and it hurt his career because he never had a major role after that. Been in 20-some movies, been in a lot of things, but not like this, where I guess they thought he would be a major star. Before this, 3 or 4 years before, you may remember him in that skateboarding movie when he was much younger, The Lords of Dogtown, about skateboarding in San Diego, I guess in the late 70s, which is a pretty good movie. Heath Ledger.
Hello. Are you going to get your spiritual guidance and your spiritual wisdom from movies, Matty, and from evil fucking degenerate demonic Hollywood? How does that make sense for so-called, quote, truthers? How the fuck does that make sense? You gonna look to Hollywood? Is that what you're gonna do? You gonna follow this guy and wander out into the wild, unprepared, with no idea how to survive and live? It's foolish. It's foolish. And this is what they do. They look to Hollywood. Hollywood programs you. Hollywood feasts upon you. That's what Hollywood is, like a vampire. Why the fuck would you love Hollywood?
Ledger actually has a small role in that. He's a heck of an actor. He plays some burnout seller of surfboards. Hey guys, you're gonna go surfing today? He's some burnout surfboard seller. Some small part by Heath Ledger.
So do you want the truth, or do you want to worship and idolize people that pretend and lie and act for a living? They're good at acting. Actors. Now, what truth seeker idolizes those who act, who are fake for a living, for money, for millions of dollars? Think about it. Really, really think about it.
So this is supposedly the real guy, Christopher Mccandless, who, say, in 92 or 93, again, graduate from Emory University. His parents, you must go to Harvard Law, didn't have a good relationship with his parents. And his sister kind of narrates the movie like Chris had always been a rebel, and the parents want to buy him a new car after graduating Emory University in Atlanta, which has a very good reputation. He has a 15-year-old Datsun 210. He says, well, why would I need a new car? He wants nothing to do with material possessions or money, and he just checks out. He just says, my parents are total assholes, and just packs his bags, takes to the road, goes out west in the Datsun, and simply, literally walks into the wild. Something that really disturbs me, if you're going to do that, whatever he had left, say $800 when he gets out there after gas money, and he burns his money, and he burns his Social Security card. Well, that's kind of cool. But to burn your money, I mean, are you really ready to live off roots and berries? And he didn't have any prior survival courses, read some books. You probably keep the $800. I mean, he's walking highways. Anyway, it really doesn't say how he survives so long. The months go by very quickly in the movie on nothing. See, that's a little bit of an issue. Maybe, but I don't want to get into the details. No need to comment that, Matt, he didn't.
Well, the thing is, you can't live off of roots and berries for years and years in the wild. Movies, Matty. But Matty's upset that the money was burned. Matty thinks he should have kept the money or maybe given the money away to someone or whatever. That's what bothers movies, Matty. The money.
Didn't burn his money. That's a Hollywood stunt. Who cares? I'm just going by what the movie put forth. One of the things that's a little strange in the movie is, again, how many months goes by where he seems to be okay traveling state to state, but if he burned his money, well, he does work a few odd jobs along the way. He's out in the wild for several years, and he earns some money that way. But there's a little bit of an issue where, several weeks, months go by. He's just on the highway hitchhiking, and if he had burned his money, okay, I don't want to fixate on this too much. Again, for now.
Come on, movies, Matty. Come on, Humpty Dumpty. Do the Humpty Hump. Do the Humpty Hump. Of course you're going to fixate on the money. That's what you do. You fixate, you repeat, you loop, and you fixate. It's another reality breakdown, guys.
I'm going to assume the movie is generally accurate. Generally, that's all we need to continue our discussion. We want to take our discussion here away from the particulars of the movie and talk about our fat for an hour, and that's many of you as well. But one of the main themes of the movie is there are 3 or 4 parts where he comes across people that start to care about him. And this young girl falls in love with him. That's just one. Usually has relationships with these older hippies and older men. And he likes them too, or he likes being in that social group. But he has this image, or this false image of what being in ultimate nature will be like and how it will feel. And Alaska is the embodiment of that to him. So even though he has personal relationships, and each time he finds himself with a group of hippies, he seems happy. He seems content. There's a huge message in the movie, and should be a message to all of us. It's not good enough for him, where it should be good enough for him. I mean, many of us, this girl, well, she's a little young. He actually does the right thing, and not, she kind of comes on to him and he says, I think you're a little young or whatever, but she's a nice girl, and you kind of want him. He's with Vince Vaughn for a while on a big farm, working a tractor, and you say, well, why not just settle in with this group of friends that you seem so compatible with? But it doesn't matter if the nice young girl is really interested in him. He likes her too, but he doesn't like her as much as this image, this false image of what ultimate freedom will look like. And of course, the main lesson, once he gets into that situation, it's 1,000 times more harsh and more brutal than he ever imagined, and it becomes, of course, a survival situation, and the rest.
Oh, wait a second. The wild is brutal. Mother Nature is fucking brutal. Really, it's a survival situation. Look how many people like his fucking shitty video. Look at this. Maybe this realm is a hell realm, movies Matty. What you deny. Maybe we're not meant to survive in nature. Maybe this fucking place is designed to be fucking brutal and a hell realm, but you won't call it a hell realm, will you? You're stubborn. You're afraid to face the truth. You're afraid. And you're not honest.
Rest. So after 2 years of wandering, he finally makes it to Alaska, not Fairbanks, brutal than he ever imagined. Ultimate freedom will look like, and of course, the main lesson, once he gets into that situation, it's 1,000 times more harsh and more brutal than he ever imagined, and it becomes, of course, a survival situation, and you know the rest. So after 2 years of wandering, he finally makes it to Alaska. False image of what ultimate freedom will look like, and of course, the main lesson, once he gets into that situation, it's 1,000 times more harsh and more brutal than he ever imagined, and it becomes, of course, a survival situation, and you know the rest. So after 2 years of wandering, he finally makes it to Alaska, not Fairbanks or Nome, a very remote part of Alaska, and this famous bus comes into the story, where he comes across this bus. Of course, it's in the perfect location for it to be a shelter for him. There is actually a barrel stove inside that really got my attention, and it's all set up for survival with a mattress and everything. The story behind this bus, again, guys, I don't want to get into, some people would be saying right now, I can hear you saying, isn't it a little convenient that he found the bus out there? I don't care. I don't want to get into what's real and what's not. The story is, there was a construction company that had to build a road to a mine in the early 60s. They dragged this bus in that didn't have an engine just so they could use it as a base command. They left it out there. I'm just assuming there's really a guy named Chris that came across this. There's no reason for the lessons we want to take away from this movie or story or what we want to talk about. It doesn't matter if it really happened or it's total fiction. Now, as Chris is,
what spiritual lessons do you take from Hollywood and do you take from Humpty Dumpty? What do you get out of this?
Chris that came across this. There's no reason for the lessons we want to take away from this movie or story or what we want to talk about. It doesn't matter if it really happened or it's total fiction. Now,
well, hey, Matt, if you can't look to Hollywood for spiritual lessons, where can you go? But to a group of vampires and psychopaths and child abusers and sickos and fucking demons and millionaires obsessed with money and hedonism and drugs and lies and crime.
It's total fiction. Now, as Chris is heading out into a very remote part of Alaska, this is the river, this is the actual river that he crosses and will eventually find the bus that becomes his little encampment. But the picture taken here is not from the movie. It's probably at Alaska's driest time towards the end of the summer, September or October. I mean, there's hardly any water at all. He crosses it in the movie. There's 3 or 4 feet of water running. He crosses it easily. It wasn't as dry as this in the movie. But when he goes to go back across the river, it's right in the middle of the spring thaw. And this river, which is mostly dry here, is a raging rapid. And he has enough experience, and he's done kayaking down the rapids. He knows you put one leg in, it's just going to suck you down. There's no possible way to get across until the spring thaw ends. So at this point, he's exhausted his supplies. How much 22 ammo does he have left? He's not catching the game or the animals that he thought. The survival berries are not there. He's really struggling, and he just can't get back across the river. Who knows how many weeks it would take for the spring thaw to end. It would probably be rapids for 6 to 8 weeks, and he runs out of supplies, and the tragic end of the story. But one thing that the movie very subtly shows you, I don't think people would catch this, normal people.
Wow, why is nature designed to be so brutal for us? Why would a loving God put us into a fucking realm like this?
And he just can't get back across the river. Who knows how many weeks it would take for the spring thaw to end. It would probably be rapids for 6 to 8 weeks, and he runs out of supplies, and the tragic end of the story. But one thing that the movie very subtly shows you, I don't think people would catch this. Normal people outside of our community wouldn't catch this sort of thing, even watching it 2 or 3 or 4 times. But it's actually emphasized in the Wikipedia article, and it's well put, and I'm glad it was emphasized. He said something like in the Wikipedia article in the movie, Chris realizes that even though he potentially found his ultimate destination, true beauty and the experiences of the true beauty in this world is best shared with people you care about, best shared with loved ones or those great people he met along the way and the great relationships he developed. Vince Vaughn, again, was a farmer who gets arrested because on the side he's selling these black boxes that help people unscramble satellite TV. He's doing this illicit activity on the side, and it shows his arrest actually in the movie. Again, the history of it is clear that this is supposed to be a real story, that the farmer that this Chris Mccandless worked for, which is played by Vince Vaughn, he was on the farm, it seems like, for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, something like that,
Movies Matty seems to love Vince Vaughn. Movies Matty, you should do a movies review channel. You should get away from trying to pretend that you're a truth seeker. You just love movies. Just do what you love, Matty.
Unscramble satellite TV. He's doing this illicit activity on the side, and it shows his arrest actually in the movie. Again, the history of it is clear that this is supposed to be a real story, that the farmer that this Chris Mccandless worked for, which is played by Vince Vaughn, he was on the farm, it seems like, for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, something like that, made a little bit of money. History, or at least what's presented online, says there was a real farmer that was actually arrested for selling these black box satellite TV scramblers. And but he had a great relationship with the people on that farm, a great relationship with the people at Slab City. Before that, the hippie communities that he came across before that. And again, I'm glad the Wikipedia emphasized it. He's trying to get back across the river. He's saying, I want to get back. I love this whole nature thing, but I need to share it, or the best parts of life are having these experiences with the people that we care about and love. And, somebody screaming at me, well, Matt, this is such a major message. Do you think it really happened? What a coincidence. He's now cut off from it. And what's the gigantic metaphysical metaphor in that? I hear you. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I hear you. Now he's cut off. Now he's gone too far, and he can't get back to civilization, where he has to go back into civilization. He has to go back in the, quote, lower 50 to find the people that he met along the way, that he truly cares about. And now he's cut off. He's gone too far. There's a huge message in it. Whether, this story exactly played out the way the movie...
So Matt says there's a major message in it. A gigantic metaphysical message. Hilarious. Movies Matty also says about a lower 50. I thought it was the lower 48. The lower 48 contiguous states. Movies Matty, you're supposed to be an American. Wake up.
Your message, do you think it really happened? What a coincidence. He's now cut off from it. And what's the gigantic metaphysical metaphor in that? I hear you. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I hear you. Now he's cut off. Now he's gone too far, and he can't get back to civilization, where he has to go back into civilization. He has to go back in the, quote, lower 50 to find the people that he met along the way, that he truly cares about. And now he's cut off. He's gone too far. There's a huge message in it. Whether, this story exactly played out the way the movie says it did or not. The last personal relationship that Chris has before finding the remote part of Alaska and the bus, etc., and having those real hard times, is he meets a friend, an older gentleman who's in his late 70s, and they have a great relationship of the young kid and the mentor. And Chris, I think, still lives out in the desert in his tent, but he uses the older gentleman's place for laundry, and he crashes there, and they have meals together. And again, you don't know how much time goes by in the movie. It seems like Chris is with him 4 to 6 weeks. He's kind of with every group of people that he meets, that he grows to care about, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and then he has to move on. In one instance, he just left without even saying goodbye, just left a message in the sand. He always has to move on. And again, found that when he found that ultimate location, it was just way more brutal, way more harsh. It tells you a lot about the natural world. It tells you a message is the human on its own is not meant to be in the middle of the natural world. The natural world is just too hardcore with the vultures and the animals, and it's almost like it's saying you need a little bit of society. You do. You need a little, because in the smack in the middle of nature, it's just, for 99 point whatever percent of humans, it's just too tough. These animals.
What a fool Movies Matty is. He knows the natural world is brutal and harsh. He says human. It's really fucking annoying. But Movies Matty will never admit that this is a hell realm. He just won't do it. He can't do it because he has to fake being positive. It's the toxic fake positivity. He's a Humpty Dumpty and he's not honest.
Be in the middle of the natural world. The natural world is just too hardcore with the vultures and the animals, and it's almost like it's saying you need a little bit of society. You do. You need a little, because in the smack in the middle of nature, it's just, for 99 point whatever percent of humans, it's just too tough. These animals are on a completely different level. We have a little cut on the finger. Love talking about this, of course. Like, oh, is it going to get infected? Anybody got the Neosporin? Are you going to get infected? Oh, you got methylate. You got, what is it? Greg sends me red oil. Matt, put the red oil. That's what we use down here in South Carolina. Red oil cures everything. But it gets infected. And then Pam was bitten, but when Pam wouldn't let Zara alone when Zara was real young, and Zara's a tortico. She can be real affectionate, and she can be a real bitch. I mean, she's a tortico. That's a major tortitude attitude. Pam wouldn't let her alone, having a few drinks, wouldn't let her, kept petting. Pam bit her. She bit Pam. And of course, major infection, had to go for the huge antibiotic shot. And the human body we're not compatible with this natural world. It's too fragile. Evolution, Darwin is ridiculous. I mean, if Darwin was right, we wouldn't be burned by the sun after millions and millions of years. Just the sunburn by itself proves Darwin, and all of his bull crap is just complete nonsense. So, one of the messages here is you put the human, whether it be Alaska or the middle of the Amazon. And again, how do these certain tribes in the Amazon survive? Well, they survive in community. They don't go off to live on their own. They survive in 20, 30, 40 each with a certain task, and they still will perish to the poisonous frogs that have the blue and the yellow back, and it's still hardcore harsh even when the human lives in community. Human body is just not compatible with this natural world. That's one of the greatest news. That's the greatest news of all time to us. It proves we're a temporary species here, a spiritual being that just is kind of coming in for an experience and will get out. Not that we're not rooted here. Obviously, we didn't come from here. Obviously, but we'll have that spiritual conversation some other time.
You're wrong, Matt. Reincarnation proves that we're not just a, quote, temporary species here. We aren't just here for an experience. You're sugarcoating this shit. You're not being honest. You're not facing this reality honestly.